Hi everybody, welcome back to a long overdue Stormworks Sea Trials video. I've been busy changing jobs, all these kind of things, and I'm between jobs, so I'm going to take the time to do some more sea trials. So Stormworks, if you don't know, is the game, a voxel building ship rescue simulation game. You can find it on Steam. That's what it looks like here, Stormworks. And it has this really good workshop, hopefully I can get back to it, where people build these amazing creations in the game, and then you can use them in the game to play the missions in the game. And today I'm going to look at a creation by this builder called Primeking. King seems to be interested in building kind of Norwegian vessels. Seem to be a lot of Norwegian, Swedish ones perhaps here. And I'm going to look at this ferry designed for use with various kind of piers and ramps, which you can also download in the game. And I've just had a very quick look at it, but she handles very well realistically, which is what I like to test in Stormworks. For those of you who don't know, making a vessel behave realistically is a real work of art. If you can build a vessel, it will float, it will run, probably go what feels way too fast for the simulation enthusiasts out there, but this vessel behaves in a somewhat realistic way. As you can see here, it's really useful looking thing. So here we are, we're in the creative base, which is one of the sort of default spawn locations. The weather is set to 0 basically, and then I go into my workshop and I can just find that creation here. We'll have a quick look at it in the editor as always. So she's a nice sort of cute tubby little vessel here. She's got a gantry style bridge like you get in a lot of RORO vessels, and as you can see there, ramp at the back, ramp at the front. Beautifully designed. Stormwork vessels tend to be a little bit deeper than they would be in real life. Remember, everything's made with sort of 25 by 25 centimeter blocks. I'll do a little cutaway just so you can see what's inside. So passenger area seems to be there, and then the rest of it, engines at the back where you'd expect, some batteries, nothing kind of surprising here, but a nice traditional layout, I would say. We'll have a quick look at the logic, which is all this stuff. So you can see there's quite a lot of things connected. 2 big engines, battery packs, logics for doors, instruments, some sliding weights there at the front? Not too sure. These are just probably logic packs. A lot of the logic is created by other creators and then kind of copy and pasted into these vessels, so kudos to everybody involved. I'll turn off that logic view, turn off the section view, and then we'll spawn her in. Now, it took me ages to find this out in Stormworks. You walk around with your character, and I used to always jump in here, but if you press your home button, you go into kind of camera mode, and you can press it again and you'll drop down as a character. So you can see a nice big protected deck here. Lots of tie down, so you could drive vehicles on and tie them down. We've got nice eyes here to tie on ropes to the shore if you want. A lot of maintenance hatches here that give you access into these funnel enclosures. You have a downstairs passenger area, which I'll just have a very quick look at. You can see here it's got a few seats, a nice vending machine painted on, toilet, access to some cabins, some equipment here, so some first aid, some heaters. The lights are not on just now. I need to jump up these stairs a little bit. Tricky to get up. What I found is there's no access to the machinery spaces that I could find. Somebody did comment on that in the comments as well. It's not a biggie. It is nice to be able to go in there, but this has been created, I think, primarily for use for just transporting things. So let's start it up here. We'll go left to right. And yep, there we go. We can hear those engines starting up. We can see the RPM going up. I do have a sound mod on, so you might hear that once we get going. Let's just turn on everything here. Hydraulics. Oh, unlock. So we've got a bow visor, you can see there is going up nicely. You can hear there's a hydraulic pump there involved, so let's just put that down again. There's a little bit of noise from that hydraulic pump. Let me turn on some lights here. Some locks there, as you can see. And lock that down. Turn the hydraulics off. Save yourself a little bit of time. So I'm just using the W key. And I probably will zoom off here. Let me just see. There seems to be some... some monitors that I can turn on. Map, radar, and there we go. So we've got a bunch of instruments on here, relatively simple, autopilot for waypoints, docking cameras here. This is nice. Usually these are interactive. Yeah, so we can move around this map. Oh, can't close the door while I'm in. So let's just take her out and start our sea trail. So I'm just tapping W. You can see there one main prop. Some stabilization on the bottom there, some fins I can see. Yeah, and she cruises off at what feels like a almost realistic speed, which is what I really like in Stormworks creations. I usually sea trail only the ones that feel realistic. Sorry, I'm just hitting my microphone here. So engine temperatures, didn't bother warming them up. 4 knots. Let's bring her up to kind of, what's that, 75%, usually kind of good cruising speed. I'll just take her out of the harbour here nice and slow. So I usually start off these sea trials with good weather. In case you haven't seen my other videos, I did study as a naval architect. I have some idea about ships. I've been working in the shipbuilding software industry for about 20 years. And I love games, and I love that this exists here where you can do all these kind of, not only driving a vessel around like in a simulator like Not As Home that's come out recently, but you can actually operate them with all the switches and ramps and things like that. So let's take her up to full speed. You can tell already she's probably going to do about 13 knots, maybe 14. So 13, 14 knots for a little ferry like this is probably fine. They're not particularly fast. They're designed for efficiency. They're only doing short journeys. You might get ferries that'll do a bit faster when they're going longer journeys, but this one's just a little puttle along at 12 knots. Let's just have a quick look around the bridge here. Yeah, so we've got some instruments here. It's got radios, batteries. There's not too much going on here. We'll close that door. So what we'll do is we'll get into some of the sea trials things. It's nice. We've got a sonar there, which is nice. You can see the bottom of the seabed, which you can see there in external view. So what we'll do is we'll start to pick up the weather. So I used to usually put it on, I think, 50% to start with, which will give us some nice waves. So you can see there she's behaving in what feels like quite a realistic way. And this is an art, really, to get a vessel to behave like this. It depends on the shape of it. So there is some basic hydrodynamic modeling. So if it's wide, it will behave in a certain way. If it's long or short, it will roll or pitch, in certain ways. I did notice a lot of them have these stabilization fins which will move using some logic. You can just about see them on the bottom. On the side there, you can see those ones are moving. And that will reduce roll to basically allow you to operate these in the storms that you get in this game. It's not called Stormworks without reason. So it's a kind of fine line between having a vessel that will be usable in the game to do things and something that will feel realistic. So most of them have these kind of stabilization systems on. I'm gonna do, actually I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna put the wind back to 0 because I do want to just show you the bow thrusters. So it's got this system, bow thrusters are on. I quite like the bow thrusters in this, and the stern thrusters are quite small. It's gonna hit the arrow key, so you can see that comes on there. And I've got one on the back as well. So you can see there the front's coming round. And I can hear the generator running super high speed there, so it must have a separate generator which is used for these. So these bow thrusters working in what feels like a realistic speed. They're not too overpowered, which I like about this vessel. So you can maneuver her in port. You can use those bow thrusters and you'll get a kind of realistic momentum and speed of maneuverability, which is pretty good. So this feels like something I could dock somewhere nicely. Let's go back, put that wind up a little bit more. Usually put it up to about 75, 80. Give us a full storm. One of the things I like about Stromworks is it has this simulation of the waves. The waves will get bigger the more you go out to exposed water, and I believe they build up. I've always had this feeling that they build up. So you can see there a bit of the weird physics that, you know, weight in games is always something hard to get. You get this kind of low gravity mode, as you can see there, but she behaves pretty well. She's got such a high freeboard, which is that distance from the top of the front bow into the water. So this, basically that protects you from waves coming over into the vessel. So she's very seaworthy. She's got a high freeboard all around. As you can see, she'll go into waves here quite nicely and not take any water on. So I do a little test before the fun part comes here. So let's just put on all the lights. Keep those red. These are locks. And then I like to put her into nighttime. So we can see how she looks at nighttime. So all these vessels have nice navigation lights, or accurate navigation lights. So port and starboard there. Doesn't really have a mast top light, but that's fine. As you can see, you've got nice deck lights there. I could maybe turn some of these off. Probably be navigating with the lights off so people can see what kind of vessel it is. There should be an aft light as well, but pretty nice with our lights on. So let's put her back to daytime. Do the fun stuff. So we'll put the wind up max. Not going to bother with fog or anything. Let's go and see how our speed's affected. So she's actually going against the wind here, only losing 1 or 2 knots, which you'd expect. So the wind is modelled, pushing against the vessel, or the waves. I'm not too sure if it's wind or waves. I don't know, it's back up to 12. Maybe not. It certainly feels like the wind does push her around, but doesn't seem to be pushing her back. So the fun thing I thought we should do is hydraulics on, unlock, visor up. So this is of course the weak point of RORO ferries. Here down. Too sure how I put these ramps down. Let's see if we can find this. Do we have some arrows? Barrier down. Nope. Front ramp down. There we go. Yeah, so there's a little car ramp. This will basically give us no protection. So you can see Stromworks, there are physics. Sometimes things will go through each other like that, but that actually allows you to build these very difficult creations. So let's bring her into the wind. And we might start to get some water on board. The amazing thing about this is the hydrodynamics. The water is simulated. You'll see that water will come on board, or at least you know, if you get holes in compartments, water will come in. So let's see if she does what she does here. This is the big test. It's got such a high freeboard. Not really getting any water ingress there. Nice into wind properly. Let's just bring her around a bit more. There's not obvious water on deck. It does say in the description you can sink her like this, but maybe you need to let the waves build up. Oh, there we go. That was a bigger wave. You don't always see, you know, water like sloshing around on the deck. The simulation of that would be very hard. But if you've got, maybe I need to open some of these hatches. It's going to do that. See if we can sink her. It's always a good test. You wouldn't jump across like this in real life. Oh, that door is open. As you see here, you get a pretty good feel for what it would be like to be on this vessel on a rough day. You do kind of fall off. You can fall off, and it is hard to get up the stairs. You can see the wind affecting the exhaust smoke there. Oops. It can get hard to get in. Oh, there we go. I saw a lot of water there at some point. So I think the waves are building up. That's what we're seeing. Let's just see if we can get her back around. So like a real vessel, if you don't steer into the wind, natural tendency will be to turn side on. That's when you get problems. Let's just keep her going like this. Doesn't feel like she's taking on water. Well, pretty good sea trail, I would say. I've just slowed her down. Let's just lower the rear ramp. She goes straight into side onto the waves there. Beam on. And as you can see, she's just drifting with the waves. Not too much roll. She's actually turned all the way around. But I would say that's a pretty successful sea trail, so not able to sink her, at least easily. Behaving very realistically. She'll be a bit slow for some people if you didn't, you know, want to just zoom between the islands, but if you want to do realistic transportation missions, this looks like a great build. I think that's all I did in my sea trails. Can't remember, it's been such a while, so thanks to Primeking for this creation and give me a beautiful ship to test on my re-entry back into sea trails. So that's all from me, and catch you in the next recording.